There is lots of discontent in the zombies community right now surrounding the final zombies map for Black Ops 6, The Reckoning. So many people seem to be disappointed not only with its ending, but the map itself. It doesn't seem like the gameplay side is the issue, it's the story. This is supposed to be the conclusion, the grand finale before we move on to Black Ops 7, and the stuff they have given us has seemingly upset a lot of people. And on one hand, I agree with a lot of it, but I do think there's some things that we should maybe hold out on, because when you look at all of the final maps we've had in COD Zombies, Black Ops 1 with Moon, Black Ops 2 with Origins, Black Ops 3 with Revelations, Black Ops 4 with Tag der Toten, besides from Moon, which in comparison to those others was very simple, the Origins ending when it first came out was controversial to say the least, because people thought it meant the zombie storyline was just made up in the heads of these two children, Samantha and Eddie. That was a genuine thought that people had, and the idea that's what it meant was hated. I remember Black Ops 3's Revelations ending was hated, and Black Ops 4 with Tag der Toten literally killed off the OG characters. You can imagine, just in case you weren't around during that time, how divided the community was with it. But we look back now, years later, in retrospect, they were good endings. Now that Treyarch have had multiple other games to expand on what we saw, and right now BO6 is in a similar position. Because we haven't had Black Ops 7 to explain what we have seen in Black Ops 6, there are rightly a lot of unanswered questions that are leaving people angry. But that's not to say The Reckoning's other issues aren't valid. One of the main problems seems to be is that it just doesn't explain enough. Black Ops 6 has spent its entirety building up to this moment in Terminus, Liberty Falls, Citadel des Morts, The Tomb, Shattered Vale. We have learned things in those maps along the way, which have been building up to the conclusion in The Reckoning. And now we've got it, a lot of those story events simply haven't been answered, or the ones that have, the conclusion is disappointing. For example, Panos. He was the main villain in Liberty Falls and was built up to be one of the main villains overall in the game, alongside Sam and Richtofen to a certain extent. Coming into The Reckoning, we were thinking, great, we are finally going to learn what Panos was really up to, who he was talking to in the Dark Aether, and well, all that happens is he becomes an upgrade for the Gorgafex wonder weapon. Nothing ended up becoming of him, and the questions around him never got answered. What was Panos' plan? Just to become a god? Okay, after you do the Blanchard side of the upgrade quest, because just in case you don't know, there are two sides to the wonder weapon. You can either sacrifice Blanchard or Panos to upgrade it, but if you kill Blanchard, nothing happens with Panos. His story doesn't continue, his voice lines just cut off. And that is just one of the many examples of story arcs that have been built up from the beginning in Black Ops 6 that haven't come to anything in The Reckoning. And most of the issues I'm seeing is from the story side. The gameplay side of the map, if you've watched my channel, you would have seen me complain quite a bit, saying I just don't think the maps in this game are that good. Besides from Terminus, I wasn't a fan of Citadel, The Tomb or Shattered Vale, to be honest, whereas The Reckoning, and this seems to be the case for a lot of other people as well, is actually really good on the gameplay side. The transportation systems are some of the most unique I've seen. The elevators and the launch pads that shoot you between towers, how you're able to parachute down between levels, is extremely unique in a round-based zombies map. So from a gameplay point of view, this is one of, if not for me, just in my opinion, the best map we've gotten. Another gold star I would give to it, which I thought as soon as I played my first game, is the visual storytelling in the map is amazing as well, especially the room where the Forsaken is contained in. If you're into the story, just seeing that in game, how imposing his containment chamber is, and then him in the sphere itself, drained of energy, and the voice lines he has shows that. Again, if you are into the storyline, maybe if you're not, this isn't as cool to you, but I really like that. So the main issue seems to be for people, the storytelling. And what's funny is, I actually don't seem to have as big a problem with it as a lot of other people. However, I've been having an issue with this new Dark Aether story since its introduction in Black Ops Cold War. And I've continued that in Black Ops 6, saying, I just don't think this new story that they've been telling is that interesting, to be honest. And now a lot of people are coming out and complaining about the conclusion of it, whereas I'm not that disappointed. Maybe that's because I just never thought the Dark Aether story was amazing to begin with, or maybe that's because I'm happy seeing Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey returning, regardless of whether it makes sense or not, or whether it diminishes the Tag der Toten ending. I will explain why in a minute. That doesn't mean I don't think it has its issues. It does, but I don't feel as pissed off with it as a lot of people seem to be. But I do agree, there are so many story leads that needed to be either continued or concluded in The Reckoning that just haven't been. Another one of those is Chaos. The Chaos story was first tied into the Dark Aether back in Vanguard through a singular radio. In Black Ops 6, they made that connection tight and started to drip feed us information with the Sentinel artifact being introduced and hearing about Alistair in the tomb or seeing Josiah Shem in Shattered Vale wearing the robes of the Order. We were drip fed bits of the Chaos story to the point where we weren't entirely sure if the entirety of the Chaos storyline as we knew it in Black Ops 4 was canon or not. I think it's definitely been retconned because, just going off memory, in the tomb, Alistair was described as an amateur, whereas in Black Ops 4, he wasn't that. And I'm pretty sure, just without researching it again, there has been a date change or two, which would make you think the Chaos story has definitely been retconned, but that doesn't mean that 9, Voyage of Despair, Ancient Evil, and Dead of the Night still couldn't have happened. I've been wondering this question for a while now, and I was waiting until The Reckoning, hoping that we would get an answer on this, and we haven't. They've said nothing. It would have been so simple for Treyarch to just add a document into the map, and I haven't seen all of the intel yet, so maybe it exists, but if they'd have just added one document from Alistair mentioning a load more of events that happened in the Chaos storyline in Black Ops 4 to confirm it, or, on the other hand, mention a load of events that contradict it to tell us it's not canon. I've spoken to a few people on this and nobody really seems to know for sure what Chaos events still happened as a part of the Dark Aether story and what didn't. Okay, you've confirmed some stuff has changed, that's fine, but that doesn't necessarily confirm everything changed, because some of the more out there stuff such as Medusa or Perseus can still make sense in the Dark Aether storyline and can be explained away as them being Dark Aether gods, which is exactly what we were told in Vanguard zombies. It was either Nauticus or Invicta that became Ares, so it could easily be explained as other Dark Aether gods were seen as Medusa and Perseus, and everything else in the Chaos storyline could easily fit in, but Treyarch haven't confirmed that, so we're still left not really sure. And putting that to the side, I have to ask, why even introduce the Chaos storyline at all if you're going to give us so little of it? This was a really good opportunity for Treyarch to conclude the Chaos storyline finally. It was scrapped in Black Ops 4, Ancient Evil was left on a cliffhanger, but they had the perfect chance to finally conclude it through radios and intel in this game now that they tied them together. But instead, they've given us a few bits of information of it, and that's it. Why not tell us what happened with Medusa after Ancient Evil? If the two aren't canon, fine, but even then I would say, well, why have you done that? Why even introduce the Chaos storyline at all if it's not canon in its entirety? It was the perfect way for them to not only finish off that storyline, but continue it for the people who did like it and were disappointed that it ended. Instead, what they've done is introduced elements of it, but nowhere near enough, to the point where it feels useless. And that brings us to the Sentinel artifact. In the ending cutscene, it is used to bring Richtofen's family back, but also it seemingly plays a role in the return of Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai, and Dempsey. I made a video on this yesterday, so I won't go into too much detail. Check that video out where I explained the ending, but what a lot of people are theorizing is the Sentinel artifact has reopened the multiverse. Now again, that might be wrong, but the way it's being used is extremely similar to the Orgothan device, right? It can basically wish things in and out of existence. What I'm trying to say is, compared to all of the other devices that we've seen in zombies, the Orgothan device, the summoning key, how the Sentinel artifacts were used in the Chaos story, in Black Ops 4, it doesn't really feel that special. It doesn't feel like this great powerful object that I feel it should. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that the Chaos side of Black Ops 6 Zombies has been handled very poorly. This is how easy it would have been in a document tell us two of the Elder Gods were seen as Medusa and Perseus, and the one that was Medusa, after Ancient Evil, went to the Library of the Nine, accessed the knowledge of pure materia, and did something with it. Whatever it was they did would at least give us the conclusion to that story and be a more satisfying ending than what we got. Another one of the story arcs that has 100% been handled badly and has a bad conclusion in my opinion is Weaver and Samantha's role in the death of Richtofen's wife and son. Spoiler alert, we basically learn in The Reckoning that it was all a mistake. Weaver was essentially set up by one of Richtofen's associates. None of it was his fault. He didn't have some vendetta against Richtofen. They weren't going to kill him for any important specific reason. It wasn't out of revenge. It wasn't because of something evil that Richtofen did to them or vice versa. It was all a mistake. When Richtofen's assassination attempt has been the main reason for everything we've seen happen in the Dark Aether story, that was why Richtofen went on the mission he did, all to bring his family back from the dead and get revenge on Weaver and Samantha, when we learned that it was actually all a misunderstanding, not just in zombies but any form of entertainment, movies, comics, I don't care. It's such a lame conclusion. I wanted to know that it was some epic revenge mission or some evil thing that Richtofen did or Samantha did or Weaver did. I mean, we did at least get a conclusion to that storyline, it just wasn't a satisfying one at all. Because this video is basically only talking about the story since that's the complaint about The Reckoning, another character that I'm dissatisfied by is the Forsaken. I've already said I love how he's visualised in the map and I love the quotes you get from him, but as a part of the Easter egg about halfway through, we get to fight him again. But it's not the epic giant version of the Forsaken we've seen before, it is basically him inside of the Uberklaus mech suit. Now, I kind of get what Troyog are trying to say here. He was this epic god and has been diminished to this kind of weak robot. But on the other hand, it's just not a good boss fight at all. It is essentially Uberklaus just a little bit more difficult. If we were fighting him as a different creature, even something way less powerful than what it was, but we are essentially fighting Uberklaus again. And it's a really disappointing boss fight and death. It doesn't feel satisfying killing him at all. I understand the Forsaken has been drained of his energy. He doesn't want to live anymore after being trapped in this containment sphere for so long, but he finally gets his chance to escape. Yes, this is his only opportunity, and it's not the main boss fight. Troyok don't want to take away from the Sam or Uber Richtofen fight in the end, but he is still one of the main villains. We never got to really defeat him in Cold War or kill him. He was trapped inside of the sphere, and when we do finally get to do it in The Reckoning, the boss fight is no different to fighting Uberklaus on any given round. It's not supposed to be the main fight, and him being this is a representation of what he become, but as I've suggested, there were surely better ways to do it. And what there were definitely better ways to handle was Samantha Maxis. I'm not talking about the AI, I'm talking about the real one, because we learned from the get-go, the moment you load into the map, Samantha cannot be saved because she's dead. In fact, she's not just dead, she died a long time ago. She was consumed by the Forsaken. We all thought when we initially saw the Forsaken ending cutscene, when she plunged herself into him, she became trapped within the Dark Aether, but that wasn't the case. She became trapped in the sphere with him, and over time was consumed, eaten alive. There was never any chance of saving Samantha. Now, I'm fine with that. We knew that anyway from Modern Warfare 3. We're told in that game they never rescued Samantha, but her death happens off screen. Now, surely a character that's been a part of COD Zombies since the beginning, back in World at War, coming up to 20 years, surely a character like that deserves a death that is better than one that's off screen. We're not even shown it, meaning there's no way any emotion can be involved. Like the Blood of the Dead ending cutscene when we all saw Richtofen die, a character that everyone loved. A lot of people love Samantha, but in order to enact those emotions, we need to see it, and we don't. We are just told, well, she died a long time ago. She hasn't existed for ages. You never saw it, but it happened. It just kind of feels wrong being a character that's been a part of the game for 20 years. That wouldn't be any different to me if they killed Edward Richtofen off camera. You'd be rightfully quite angry at that. These are characters that deserve death scenes, just like Panos or Blanchard, who are in comparison nothing, but Samantha can't. I believe Troyog thought they could get away with this because we know she never got saved from the Dark Aether, but that almost makes it worse. If we were unaware what became of Samantha, and then we finally learned in The Reckoning that she died, there might be a bit of shock value there, but because we already knew from Modern Warfare 3 that she never gets saved anyway, when I first heard she was consumed by him a long time ago, I was like, okay, that doesn't surprise me. Either way, she's not saved, so does it really matter? No. Would it have been better that it was shown in-game or through a cutscene? Yes, because it probably would have been a sad moment seeing a character of 20 years dying in front of you. You get the point. It is one of the many storylines that have been told in Black Ops 6 and the Dark Aether as a whole that has been diminished to nothing in The Reckoning. I was just thinking, one of the issues might be that the game takes place within about 10 days, whereas if you look at the old Aether storyline from World War II Black Ops 4, because we had time travel, we would go from World War II to modern day, and then from modern day to the future. We would teleport between maps through a time gap of like 20 years, and the entirety of the Aether storyline was spread out over a long time. The Dark Aether storyline in Cold War technically started in the 1940s and, well, way before then, but from a gameplay point of view, from the characters you play as, you start in 1985 and then Black Ops 6 ends in 1991, so it's over a time gap of 6 years. But because the characters were imprisoned for 5 years, it's technically over a time gap of like 1 year. Or if we want to just look at Black Ops 6, all of the maps from Terminus to The Reckoning happen within a time gap of like 10 days. I think it may be even shorter than that. so there is no room for any major event to happen or boil up, because it all takes place not only within a short amount of time, but 3 of the 5 maps are in the exact same location as well. Liberty Falls, Shattered Vale, and The Reckoning happen in the town of Liberty Falls, and even then, the Tomb and Citadel des Morts both take place in Avalon. It has massively hindered Treyarch because they've decided to tell the story over a short amount of time and place most of the maps within the same location. Because of that, you can't have a city on fire or a Japanese swamp or a castle in the mountains. You can't have a snowy map and then a sunny map and then a nighttime map. There's less opportunity for variety. I think that's just about everything, besides from the major talking point it seems to be the final cutscene. There are actually three problems here. One is the length of it. For a final cutscene, each side is about 1 minute 30 seconds in length. We compare that to the Tag der Toten ending cutscene, which was 8 minutes. The Revelations ending cutscene was 3 minutes. The Origins ending cutscene was 1 minute 30 seconds, but it had a lot of talking. Believe it or not, there are a grand total of 4 words said in the Reckoning's ending cutscene. Vanguard Zombies didn't have one, I wouldn't expect it. Modern Warfare 3's was about 1 minute 40 seconds, and Forsaken's ending cutscene was about 4 minutes in length. Again, Black Ops 6's is 1 minute 30 seconds, which would be fine because there's not much said in the Forsaken one if it wasn't 1 minute 30 seconds in length and basically gives you nothing. It feels like the whole point of this trailer is to reveal Black Ops 7, to reveal the return of Richtof and Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey. It should have first given us information to conclude Black Ops 6. Would it hurt for Sam to say a couple of lines after she inhabits Samantha's body? No. If Eddie would have said a few words after getting his wife and son back after they'd been dead for so long, that would have made that reunion so much more emotional, because I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, he's hugging his wife and child. Are they going to talk? Are they going to say something? Are they going to cry? Is he at least going to say, I love you or I missed you? No, that entire scene is totally emotionless. And then we come to Richtof and Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey. Now, from the reaction I've seen online, it doesn't seem like too many people are upset with this. What the complaints are about are everything I've explained prior, although there are a few people that are annoyed. Now, being a person that absolutely loves the zombie storyline, I'm just going to say this is what COD Zombies needed. Whether you agree with it or not, there's no doubt, just looking at the interest in zombies overall, that after these characters were killed off, it hasn't been the same. Whatever way you want to look at it, even if you enjoy the new storyline, that doesn't go against the fact that Zombies just has not been the same since these characters died. So whether it makes sense or not, or whether you like it or not, I do truly believe this will end up being the best thing for Zombies, because you've got a set of characters here that are guaranteed to be good. It also depends on how Treyarch handle them. As I've been saying since the end of Black Ops 4, it doesn't really feel like Treyarch seem to know what they're doing with zombies anymore. Ever since Jason Blundell left, something left along with him, where the current Treyarch Zombies devs just don't fully understand zombies. They don't understand what made it. They've lost that magic. So, okay, you can bring back these beloved characters, but if Treyarch don't know how to handle them anymore, or don't know how to recreate what made them good in the first place, they could easily end up messing them up. But at the same time, I don't think they have to do nearly as much work, because Richtof and Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey themselves do that. As long as they've got the original voice actors, which Richtofen definitely will have. Takeo won't, because Tom Kane retired after he had a stroke, but there's no reason Dempsey and Nikolai won't. I'm pretty sure Nikolai's voice actor already still does work in Zombies for other side characters, so I don't see any reason why he shouldn't, and Dempsey will as well. I don't know how Takeo's is going to work. They've probably found someone similar, but as long as they've got the original voice actors, they know what they're doing. I honestly believe these characters will be fine, and if that's the case, Zombies automatically becomes twice as interesting, because that interest just hasn't been there since they left. Yes, it's not the same version of them, it's not Primus or Ultimus, but it's still Richtof and Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey, who have a 20-year history, albeit it may not be linked, but it's still those characters. Whereas the ones we've got now, Weaver I really like, and Grey has her moments, but Maya and Carver are just really bad characters. They're uninteresting. Carver may as well not be there. He does nothing. And Maya, there has been no reason for her to be one of the main characters since Citadel des Morts. So I think Weaver and the crew have had their time. They've been good. But Richtof and Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey, I truly believe are just guaranteed to make the storyline twice as interesting. Treyarch still have to write a good story for them, but the characters alone will do some of the work. I've seen a few people say, well, this doesn't even make sense. That we don't know yet. Until Black Ops 7, until we get the reason for their return, there's just no way to know. Yes, it was supposed to be impossible after Tag der Toten, but clearly something has happened, so we'll just have to wait and see on that. And the other thing I saw was that it diminishes the Tag der Toten ending. It now makes that ending basically irrelevant if these characters are able to come back. The emotion that we had when we saw them die and them leave us, knowing or at the time believing we would never see them again, drew a lot of people to sadness. And now all of that is gone because they're back. What was the point of everything they did in Black Ops 4? To that I would say, I do agree to a certain extent, although not everything is pointless. The cycle was still broken, the multiverse was destroyed, and the cycle is still broken right now, and the multiverse no longer exists, although this could be the creation of one. We'll just have to wait and see on that. So what we did in Black Ops 4, breaking the cycle, is still not entirely pointless, but yes, one of the reasons for Tag was that these characters weren't supposed to come back. However, they have. I mean, at the end of the day, this is not new for zombies, and this is what Treyarch have done with the zombie storyline since the beginning. Of course they have a plan, but it's always resulted in the future plans changing the old plans and making what we did in the past pointless. So this isn't a new thing for zombies. To me, what matters is how they handle it. They need to make their return worth it. I would just say for the people that are complaining that they're back, just wait and see, because I think this is the best direction Treyarch could have taken it. Weaver, Carver, Gray and Strauss were always going to be killed off. We saw that in Modern Warfare 3. They couldn't change that. That was a decision they'd already made a while ago. So we were always going to get a different set of characters. Treyarch could either give us a new cast, which is always risky. They don't know if they're going to gel or not, or bring back a beloved cast, which is a guaranteed hit. We've already seen them return with Primus and Ultimus, and we've seen many other versions of them. That's proof that no matter what version of this set of characters, they are going to be liked. I would just say on this, okay, it might not make sense. Who cares? It's been years since Tag der Toten. We've gone through those emotions, we've moved on. If they return zombies back to its glory days, end up bringing a load of people back to the story, and make it 10 times better, then it will be worth it. So yeah, The Reckoning is definitely a controversial ending to say the least. It is a map that leaves a lot to be desired in terms of the story. It is a map that doesn't really answer all the questions we wanted answering, but at the same time, hasn't that been a complaint in modern zombies for a while now, that there is no mystery, that it is straightforward, that Treyarch just tell us the storyline without leaving us room to theorise? Okay, it's annoying that they haven't given us all of the information we wanted, that they haven't given a proper conclusion to a lot of story arcs, but that's also been a complaint in modern zombies, right? We complain when there's no mystery, and then we complain when we're being told everything. So maybe it's fine that they haven't wrapped a lot of things up, and they'll just do that in the next game in Black Ops 7. For example, Aether and the Shadowsmiths. I've been seeing so many people saying, well, hang on, why has none of that been mentioned in Black Ops 6? Are we forgetting that Modern Warfare 3 takes place 30 years in the future? Aether is literally not born yet, so how could she be mentioned? And travel through space-time is not a thing in Black Ops 6, at least not until this exact moment in the ending cutscene. So to even expect Aether or the Shadowsmiths to be mentioned in Black Ops 6 is wrong, because they don't even fit into the storyline at the moment. That is clearly a thing for Black Ops 7, because BO7 will more than likely be the prequel to Modern Warfare 3. BO6 is not the prequel to Modern Warfare 3. So the complaint of no Aether or the Shadowsmiths isn't valid, because those storylines don't exist yet. They haven't happened. It wouldn't even make sense for them to be mentioned. But all of the other complaints are valid. Anyway, I think I'll leave that one there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Drop a like rating if you've enjoyed. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel to stay up to date with the latest content, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.